sunny days, but hopefully this summer. There won't, however, be another clash between Cork and Tipperary in the Munster hurling, and that's our featured action on the programme today. The throw-in is at 4 o'clock. Well, it's a game with a remarkable fascination for hurling fans all over the country. I can tell you I'm certainly looking forward to it, and let's just hope that it doesn't disappoint after all that. Well, looking forward to the game with me is John Henderson, former Kilkenny fullback, and we'll be hearing his views on this intriguing clash in just a moment. But first, let's go right over to Páirc, where the build-up to the game has been intensifying since much earlier this afternoon, and there to enjoy it all is our commentator, Ger Canning.
Thank you very much indeed, Michael, and welcome live to Páirc. You see the flags there at the Black Rock end. That's where the Cork fans are encamped, and at the opposite end it's all Tipperary. And with me I've got two people keenly observing this afternoon's match, Justin McCarthy and Jimmy Barry Murphy. Justin, I suppose in a way you've got a foot in the two counties, being coach of Cashel King Cormac. What is it about this rivalry between Cork and Tip that brings out the fans year after year?
I suppose, Joe, really the tradition of the game, the rivalry is there, the personalities involved, and so many great players down through the years, from the 50s, the 60s, 70s, 80s, now into the 90s, and in the past 7 years, of course, 7 or 8 years, great games between both teams, so it's there again today.
It's going to be tense, of course, but somebody said during the week that there's no great shame in losing to Tip or losing to Cork, because you're talking about two of the great powers of hurling.
Well, this is a day, this is history in the making today. This is a hurling day, really. It's a day when we're all waiting for. You have two teams with born out of, the tradition that they have, and as I said, they're going to give it all. And there's a lot at stake for both teams. Both teams want to prove themselves, and this is the day to do it.
What about your three men, the Bonners?
Yeah, I was up in Cashel on Friday night, and they were hurling around with us, having a puck around, and they're eager to get into the game and eager to get into the fray. And obviously they'll be under pressure too, like any of the other team members and the Cork players, and they'll have to perform, and there's a lot of proving to be done on both sides.
Jimmy Barry will be commentating with me this afternoon. Jimmy, are we talking about perhaps two of the best hurling teams in the country?
Well, I suppose the other counties will have something to say about that, probably, Ger, but at the moment I think whoever wins today will certainly be favourites to win out the All-Ireland final. There's no doubt about that. The present rivalry, I think, has intensified since 1984, really, and the games since then have been quite unbelievable. Every year seems to get better and better, and supporters, as you can see, the atmosphere is absolutely fantastic for it. But there'll be intense rivalry as well, of course, with individual players built up over the last couple of years, and quite a bit of needle as well, and that all adds to the occasion, and fierce determination on Cork's part today, I think, to reverse what they see as a game they threw away last year here in Páirc.
Let's talk about Tipperary just briefly then, because which is the real Tipperary in your view, the first half team against Limerick or the second half team?
Well, Ger, at different occasions in games they looked a super team in the league. I was very impressed in the first half, but they were very, very poor when Limerick put under pressure in the second half, and a lot of their players just couldn't respond to it. I think they didn't seem to have the legs, they didn't seem to have the will to be able to match Limerick, and it must have given them some worry coming down here today. And it was certainly an encouragement to the Cork team. I know from talking to some of the lads, they saw more hope after that game, I think, and saw weaknesses that they wouldn't have thought were in Tipperary before that, maybe. And I think the Cork camp got great encouragement from that.
OK, Jimmy, we'll get up into our commentary box. Justin, many thanks. Take your place in the seat, and we'll be back at Páirc in a couple of minutes' time.
And we'll be returning to Páirc, as Ger said, in just a moment, as soon as Ger and Jimmy have successfully made that dash up to the commentary gantry. Well, now, let me turn for the moment, though, to my studio guest, John Henderson. John, you're very welcome.
Thanks,
and in a word to you, who's going to win this one?
Tipperary, I feel today is going to be their day. They've obviously a more established and settled team. They're probably the best team in Ireland. They proved it last year, and I think Cork are that little bit unsettled. They're a little bit unsure. There's a few positions, new people in them, and for that reason alone, the Tip know what they're about today, and I think for that reason they'll win.
There's this huge thing at the background to this thing about Cork never haven't been beaten in Páirc. Will that be a factor on either side, do you think?
Well, I think Babs will use that, to motivate the Tip guys, to create a little bit of history and to go out there and break the hoodoo and all that. But I think when it boils down to the match, that'll soon be forgotten as soon as the ball is thrown in. But I don't think it's a major factor really today.
All right, John, we'll talk to you a little bit later again, but the time for talking has almost finished now. The speculation has little more than 70 minutes to run because it's time for the action to begin. So let's go straight back to our commentary team this afternoon for this Munster semi-final.
Thank you very much indeed, Michael. And the parade has just concluded, and we're going to take a check on the teams very shortly. The anthem is just coming up first. And there is the Cork team. Dennis Mulcahy moving back to full-back after his surprise omission from the Kerry game 2 weeks ago. And mention of the Kingdom, Teddy McCarthy, who played in the football tie that afternoon, into midfield today. Huge release of energy by the capacity crowd here at Páirc, known as the Páirc, of course, and the Tipperary team, the All-Ireland champions, sticking by and large to a familiar and formidable squad. I can tell you that Bobby Ryan has been switched into centre half-back just before the throw. So the throw-in coming up, and it's going to be Kevin Walsh, a Limerick man now domiciled in County Clare, who takes charge of this match. Already jostling for positions. Finally the throw-in, and it's tipped from right to left in the first half. That means they've got the aid of a slight breeze at their backs. Up towards Nicky English it comes, who's been marked by Sean O'Gorman in a switch straight away in the Cork full-back line. Dennis Mulcahy retaining his position at full-back. But curiously, young Brian Corcoran has gone across to mark the dangerous Pat Fox. Meanwhile, it's the dangerous John Fitzgibbon raiding. Great shoulder there with Colin Bonner. Bonner again getting his stick to it. Comes out here towards Shawnee McCarthy. In towards Kevin Hennessy, slipping. Noel Sheehy coming in there to provide defence for Tipperary. That's Paul Delaney. And the referee going in, whistling up the play. All very near the far sideline. The linesmen this afternoon from County Clare as well. And they are Tony McMahon and also Fergus O'Loughlin. Ball thrown in. Delaney, neat pick up. Oh, he was tripped by Tony O'Sullivan. Tony O'Sullivan, one of the senior citizens of this Cork team. Great star nonetheless. A very fine match against Kerry. Paul Delaney, aided by the breeze, up towards Michael Cleary's wing, getting by. That's going to be a vital tussle up between Cleary and Dennis Walsh this afternoon. A shoulder into the back by Dennis Mulcahy. So a free to Tipperary, the foul in fact by Cathal Casey, I should have said. So Michael Cleary then steadying himself, 45 metres out, nicely directed over the bar for the opening point of the match. So Michael Cleary, the point scorer. So Jimmy, those switches that we've noted early on could be quite interesting.
Yeah, particularly in the Cork full back line, Gerald. Young Brian Corcoran is picking up Pat Fox, who did a lot of damage to Cork last year in both games. I think they're trying Sean O'Gorman over on Nicky English and hoping that Brian Corcoran can put the shackles on Fox.
This is Paul Delaney, who's seen a lot of the action in the opening couple of minutes of this game. Now Tomas Mulcahy being marked by Bobby Ryan. It wasn't a complete surprise, I have to say. There had been quite a bit of speculation in towards John Fitzgibbon. Hand pass back, anticipating support. Instead it's John Lahey back there around his own half-back line, where he operated with great effect in the two matches last year against Cork. Certainly a man for the big occasion. Ken Hogan to take that free, playing in his 22nd championship match this afternoon. A huge one. Of course, Pat Fox was nipping away, and Brian Corcoran getting out there and winning the first one-to-one duel. Colin Bonner at right half-back against Tony O'Sullivan. O'Sullivan inside towards Kevin Hennessy. Noel Sheehy going for it, misses it. Timmy Kelleher trying to nip through. In the end, ball taken out of danger. Not too far. Reaches Teddy McCarthy, wearing number 9 at midfield. Looking for the equaliser towards the left, however, and it's gone wide. First wide of the match. So Tipperary retaining their 1-point lead. That's a ball batted down by Cathal Casey to Declan Carr. Carr back towards Nicky English. English against Sean O'Gorman. Out to the next UCC man. And it's English who glides it just to the left. No argument about this one. Tipperary fans in camp there on the terrace just behind the Cork goal. Ger Cunningham facing Tipperary in the Munster Championship for the 10th time this afternoon. Aidan Ryan getting the better of that duel with Chaoimh McCarthy. Up to John Lahey. Towards Fox. Again, Corcoran winning the second ball that comes between them. On to Colin Bonner. The ammunition supplied inside. O'Gorman slips. English with a slight advantage. Mulcahy coming decisively from full back. It's still English. Now Corcoran. The free into Tipperary, the outcome. Nice skill by Nicky English.
Good play by English there. He looks quite sharp, but excellent covering also by Corcoran, who has started very well on Pat Fox. I think Corcoran is one of the most exciting young players to come on the scene in a long time, and Corcoran really looking at him to tighten up in the defence today. But Tipperary are playing the ball in quite well into English, spreading the ball around the forward and hoping to get the Cork full back in on the run.
So some more practice for Michael Cleary. And the usual result, the second point by Cleary, the only 2 points of the match so far.
Surely significant also. There's quite a strong wind there today. We didn't look at earlier on the day when we were down there, but it's blowing up quite a bit now, and it's favouring Tipperary in this first half, and it could be a very important factor.
Yes, it could be a big influence indeed, and Tipperary have the aid of that breeze for the opening 35 minutes in this Munster Championship semi-final. Bobby Ryan and Tomas Mulcahy struggling to take it. Declan Carr runs away slightly from him, still manages to get the stick up towards English. English against Sean O'Gorman. O'Gorman tightening his control as far as Lahey. This is Dennis Walsh now against Michael Cleary. And Walsh and Cathal Casey, you feel, have a vital role to play in this afternoon's match against two of the genuine influential players of the Tip team, Cleary and Lahey. Brian Corcoran, straight out of minor, a sub for the drawn game against Tip last year. A huge run inside towards Kevin Hennessy. Cork, of course, hoping to profit as they did last year with a good supply of ball into the inside forward line where goals came. This time it's Conor Bonner, and a dangerous stroke across the arm of Bonner by Ger Fitzgerald, penalised by the referee, and they'll have to bring back the play. Conor Bonner has had a rough old time of it through injuries. This the incident once again.
Yeah, Colin Bonner gathers the ball here well, and Fitzgerald comes in late and pulls very wild across Colin Bonner, and lucky not this big book for that, I think.
Yes. Conor Bonner has missed only one championship match in the last 11 for Tipperary. That was last year's Munster semi-final against Limerick. Hogan, the free taker. Towards Cormac Bonner. Hasn't seen a lot of the action in this season so far. Out towards Declan Ryan. Ryan slightly off balance. A tight one, but just outside. Tipperary's second wide. Cork with one wide, but all the scores have come from Michael Cleary from frees so far, and we have 7.5 minutes gone.
Declan Ryan looks a lot fitter than he did in the league finals there. Seems to have lost quite a bit of weight, and it's obvious Tipperary have trained very hard since the league defeat by Limerick, and as you said already, the half-forward line is so important for Tipperary. Cleary, Lahey and Declan Ryan, if they can get on top of the Cork half-back line, it'll be a huge plus for Tipperary, and I think that's where the game could be won or lost.
Ball bypassing midfield. Chaoimh McCarthy. Perhaps Keating indeed has a theory that nowadays with the light hurling ball that largely midfield is incidental. That's where the half-backs play such an important part. Colin Bonner has lost it to Tony O'Sullivan. Three players converging on him, still O'Sullivan. The loose player was Tomas Mulcahy, brilliantly brought down by Paul Delaney. Comes out to O'Sullivan again, player loose inside him. Still Tony O'Sullivan. And Conor Bonner with the Tipperary defence regrouping, sending it downfield towards Pat Fox, fumbling to take it initially. Support available from Michael Cleary, but it's Corcoran who started very impressively. Jim Cashman downfield towards John Fitzgibbon. Again Paul Delaney coming in, and Delaney has been mastering John Fitzgibbon in the opening exchanges. This is Dennis Walsh. Aidan Ryan effectively blocking that down, getting support from the stickless Michael Cleary. Well, he was trying to take it up into the hands and perhaps deliver a hand pass. Certainly is one of the brightest stars come on the scene for Tipperary in the last number of years. Michael Cleary made his debut in the championship here against Waterford in the 1989 centenary Munster Senior Hurling Final. Paul Delaney will be the free taker. He's been doing a lot of very useful covering play for the Tip defence. To the unmarked Declan Carr. Marking was very slack, and that was a really good chance for Tip to have increased their score. Really, they should have put that one over the bar.
Yeah, they've missed 2 or 3 fairly easy chances, Ger, and as I said, playing with the wind, they'd like to be getting those, and Cork will want to tighten up in the middle of the field. Declan Carr and Aidan Ryan getting quite a bit of possession there and bringing their forwards into action, so I think Cork will be looking to Teddy McCarthy and Sean McCarthy to tighten up a bit there in that area.
Bobby Ryan letting it come from his hand. Now the support play here. Cathal Casey turning it on his left-hand side, and Hennessy just palming it away, struggling to come to terms with it. And the battling Noel Sheehy, supported by John Lahey, who's drifting out from the half-forward line in towards midfield and half-back. Time and again. Tip under pressure. Colin Bonner lets it slip down. Aidan Ryan. But John Fitzgibbon. Fitzgibbon in determined mood. Sean McCarthy plays it through the centre, but only as far as Paul Delaney once more. Almost monotonously getting possession, and very good possession. Cathal Casey, good shoulder on Lahey. To the totally unmarked Sean McCarthy. 65 metres out, a chance of a score for Cork, and again it's trailed away, this time to the right. Cork second wide. So still just 2 points in the match. And we've now played 11 minutes.
Quite a scrappy opening to the game. A lot of players seem to be very tense and nervous and not settling on the ball at all. Sean McCarthy then again with a very clear chance there, just like Declan Carr before him, and Cork 4 wide really.
Well, so far it's a case of defences having improved most from last year. No question about that. And there were 14 goals in all between the 2 matches. An amazing statistic. Sent down towards Tomas Mulcahy. Timmy Kelleher not getting much ground. And Conor Bonner so far. On operating at left half back. John Lahey now against 2 Cork. And one of them Cathal Casey, the other Teddy McCarthy. Lahey sending an inviting one inside towards Pat Fox. Stopped down and belted out of danger by Brian Corcoran. The towering figure of Corcoran. The referee going in for a very quick word there with Dennis Walsh. It's interesting that in 1987, when Tip were starting their present run against Clare in the championship in Killarney, and Brian Corcoran was taking part that afternoon in the under-14 puck fodder competition. Brilliantly set in, and that's Teddy McCarthy back in his own full-back line. Ger Cunningham. The chance is coming Tip's way, but they've still only managed to put 2 points on the board, both from frees from Michael Cleary. Aidan Ryan now. Taken out by Jim Cashman. Player who usually excels in the heat of Munster Championship. It really is a perfect day for sport, for hurling. Huge one in again by Brian Corcoran towards the full forward line. Tomas Mulcahy raiding, looking for support on a play at that. George Friend with his championship debut takes it out, his foul. That's a pat in the back by Noel Sheehy. And the referee going in just to signal the point at which he wants the free taken. The young George Friend there getting at the end of that one, and that will do his confidence a lot of good up against Ger Fitzgerald this afternoon, who's a renowned goal scorer in these championship matches. Declan Ryan against Jim Cashman. Cashman trying to whip onto it. Taking the steal out of there is Teddy McCarthy. And just some blows being exchanged in the background, nothing serious. Declan Carr on his left-hand side, and the referee signals the free out for Cork. Ball fouled by Declan Carr, so it's going to be a free to Cork from inside their own 45-metre line.
It's a disappointing game so far, Gerald. As I said already, quite scrappy hurling, and both teams' striking is quite poor, and they just haven't settled down yet. A lot of bunching, and again, Tipperary have had more of the play, but I think they'll be disappointed not further ahead at this stage. Cork haven't really had a clear-cut chance all apart from the wide by Sean McCarthy, but there's very little in the game.
So just 2 points in it. Bobby Ryan struggling to take it clear. Tony McCarthy and Jeff Estrell persisting. A player lying down on the ground injured, Tomas Mulcahy. So Noel Sheehy making his way back, and this should be the first score of the afternoon for Cork. Just about a quarter of an hour gone. Gerald McCarthy, the Cork trainer, holder of 5 All-Ireland medals. Just in need of a little bit of attention there to Tomas Mulcahy from Gerald McCarthy. So Tony O'Sullivan having this chance, simple tap over to register Cork's first point of the match. And all the points in the game so far come from frees, one of the really disappointing aspect of the game to date. Bonner again towards John Lahey. Declan Carr once more, and that came off the head of Cathal Casey. He didn't know too much about it, and reaches Nicky English, crossing the 45-metre line. Inside towards Cormac Bonner. A chance now to run at the defence. Bonner in full flight, belting it, stopped by Ger Cunningham, supported by Dennis Walsh, and it's gone outside for the game's first 65. It was a great move. Cormac Bonner, I think, felt he might be hooked. He looks injured, and opted to belt that one in.
Yeah, Cormac Bonner gets inside the Cork defence here, and he's racing through. He's obviously afraid he's going to be hooked, so he elects to kick it. Quite a good effort in fairness to him. But Ger Cunningham elects very, very well to block it away, knocked it off in the air, and Dennis Welch covering with him, knocks it out for a 65. Good save by Ger Cunningham, and good work by Cormac Bonner. I thought he was going to be hooked, but fairness to him, he just did the right thing, took a chance and kicked it.
Well, he really is quite badly shaken, because Cormac Bonner isn't the kind of player to stay down on the ground too long. This the incident once more, as Cormac Bonner was in full flight. Jim Cashman and Cathal Casey, Brian Corcoran trying to come across him there, and a hefty challenge from Dennis Mulcahy. Very hefty indeed. So the Tipperary manager watches, happy in the knowledge that his full forward is fit to resume his place. And play is going to continue as Bonner secures the helmet. 65 then the outcome. Michael Cleary, and he's pulled it to the left. No addition to the 2 points that he's managed so far.
These are bad misses from Tipperary, because, as I said already, they've been on top, but they haven't really put up the scoreboard. And Cork are lucky not to be 5 or 6 points down at this stage.
Tip indeed with 4 wides, but midway through, that's been a largely disappointing first half. Aidan Ryan up towards Pat Fox there against Brian Corcoran, and the push by the Tipperary forward results in a free out to Cork. Brian Corcoran taking that free, giving it plenty of distance down to the half-forward line. Aidan Ryan battling his way out, gifting it to Tomas Mulcahy. Bobby Ryan trying to go in and support his brother. On towards John Fitzgibbon. Fitzgibbon hand-passing it outside towards Kevin Hennessy, and brilliantly stolen away there. And in the end, it's Colin Bonner. Gets it out as far as Declan Carr. Just when Cork were looking dangerous at one end, the play switches to the other. It's Pat Fox steadying himself. The sharpshooter supreme with consummate ease puts it over the bar. The first point from play, and it's taking a long, long time.
This is where Fox is so good. 2 Cork players knocked over actually by action Brian Corcoran, I think, but Pat Fox so good to read in that situation, and that's his forte really. He's a great man to read broken play and never misses in those situations.
Cormac Bonner, cross towards Michael Cleary against Dennis Welch. Checked his strike briefly, now Cleary again. Ball runs loose. Look how fast this man is. Time to turn, compose, settle himself and strike it over the bar. 2 points in succession now, and the tip machine just now beginning to find its stride. Well, if they get the supply of the ball like that in from the half-forward line, they'll certainly make them count.
Well, this is where Cork's problem started again last year with Cleary and Lahey doing so much damage, and lovely stick-up by Cleary. They're very good players, all good hurlers, and it's worrying for Cork the amount of position that's going into the Tipperary forward, and if that situation doesn't change, Cork are in big trouble, and they're going to have to try and get into the game in the half-forward line in midfield.
Cathal Casey can't take it. Tomas Mulcahy on towards Ger Fitzgerald, stopped by George Friend, almost ran into Bobby Ryan, momentarily in by Tony O'Sullivan. Paul Delaney's left it behind, Cork advancing, and it's George Friend reading the game superbly. He's taken it out for a 65 and prevented a very serious situation which Bobby Ryan is in there to acknowledge. Well, it's good to see a young player like George Friend, who's only 22 years of age, a school teacher in Toomevara, making an impression. He did well during the league, and it was always going to be interesting to see whether or not he would make it through onto the championship team eventually, but that he's done. Ken Hogan minding the goal. Cork's first 65, Brian Corcoran, who hit 2 long-range frees against Kerry in the first round. Hit it softly. Comes off the Tipperary full-back, I think, Noel Sheehy. May have been unsighted momentarily. He was rising for that one with Kevin Hennessy. Seemed to come off the top of his helmet. So Brian Corcoran remains in position on the 65-metre line. So 4 points to 1 in Tipperary's favour. This is the 65er, practically just inside the 65. And he takes his chance. So 2 points separating the teams. Teddy McCarthy with a super catch at midfield. Runs it to a shoulder then from Aidan Ryan. Cathal Casey. Colin Bonner trying to come across and block the flight of the ball. Paul Delaney with determination, but it's John Fitzgibbon who gets it in. Now Bobby Ryan, despite the number 7 number playing at centre half back. Paul Delaney again, blocked down by Fitzgibbon, coming more into the game now. This is Tomas Mulcahy, raiding on the left-hand side, dispossessed by Paul Delaney. That's great stick work. Support from Bobby Ryan, who was unmarked. Up towards Cormac Bonner. Bonner there against Jim Cashman. Michael Cleary picking up the loose ball. Distributed across here, Nicky English and Declan Carr. But it's Sean O'Brien that gets it away for Cork. Now Shawnee McCarthy. McCarthy 65 metres out. A long one, way out the field, high. Stop, comes down to John Fitzgibbon. Chance of a goal here, Fitzgibbon. And still denied, and it's Friend who takes it out. Great covering by the Tipperary full back line, and George Friend completes the clearance. 23 minutes gone in the first half, and Tipperary step up the gears once again. It's English whipping it across towards Pat Fox's wing there against Brian Corcoran. The momentum of Pat Fox carrying the ball out over the sideline, and the linesman signalling a line ball. Tipperary making a switch in their forward line. Cormac Bonner now is at centre half forward against Jim Cashman, and Declan Ryan is at full forward against Dennis Mulcahy.
That was a great chance of a goal there, Jeremy Cork, and John Fitzgibbon. Normally you'd have banked on him if it was last year. He got all those goals, and it would have been a great boost to Cork if he'd got it in, and it just seemed to hesitate for a second before he hit it, and he was stumbling. The very defence got back well to knock it away. Good covering by George Friend, and but still, as I said, you'd expect Fitzgibbon to score in that situation. Great chance for Cork.
Declan Carr down injured at the moment. After Frank Keating there checking. This is the incident just a moment ago, Jimmy again.
Yeah, good cover by the Tipperary defence in fairness, but couldn't get a clear shot. But John Fitzgibbon, I know, will be disappointed. He's normally deadly in that situation.
So last year's team captain, Declan Carr, coming back into the match, looking a little bit shaken. He made his championship debut against Limerick in June 1989. Dennis Walsh sending it down. towards Tomás Mulcahy, bounces around there momentarily. This is Cathal Casey pressing forward now against Bobby Ryan. Into Kevin Hennessy, first time ground hurling, anticipated by Aidan Ryan, trying to whip it across towards Conal Bonner. Ryan doing it himself against Timmy Kelleher, who hasn't made much of an impression so far. Good long relieving clearance towards Pat Fox's corner. Declan Ryan now at full forward, remember, turning inside against Dennis Mulcahy. And that's gone to the right. Tipperary's fifth wide. Remember, they lead by 4 points to 2. 25 minutes gone in the first half.
Declan Ryan is also operating at full forward now. He switched with Cormac Bonner, and that's another wide he's had. He should have scored there. I think it's another good chance, clear chance again, and he'd be disappointed also with that. But it just goes to show what kind of a game this is hurling. Cork have been out of the game really, and yet if Fitzgibbon got that goal, they'd have been a point ahead, so there's nothing in it, and Tipperary really haven't put their superiority into scores.
Well, Jimmy, when you consider the vast scores they were putting up last year, and just 6 points so far, now you can make it 7 as Cork cut the deficit to just a point, and that's taken over the bar brilliantly by John Fitzgibbon. So Fitzgibbon's first contribution on the scoring stakes.
This is a ball breaking loose here. Teddy McCarthy knocks it in. John Fitzgibbon, that'll give him a lot of confidence, because Paul Delaney hasn't been giving him a tough time, but he hasn't got nothing off him so far. But John Fitzgibbon is a player you can't keep down, and he could be very important for Cork.
Cork's first point from play then. Now Cormac Bonner. Support outside if he requires it with Michael Cleary. Ready to steal down that right wing. Again, using the hand pass to Declan Carr. That inside towards Nicky English. Caught very securely by goalkeeper Ger Cunningham. Out towards Tomás Mulcahy on the 40. Bounces down. Timmy Kelleher now, nipping it forward. This is Colm Bonner, the team captain, remember. Towards Connell, his brother. Giving a pass inside to Declan Carr. Steadying himself at midfield. And again it's got over the bar. Declan Carr from Holy Cross Ballycahill, and this is 11th championship match, stretches Tipperary's lead.
Good play here by Conal Bonner, runs well out of defence, and Tipperary are hand passing quite a lot. Teddy McCarthy should have intercepted that, and Declan Carr, in fairness, scores a very good point. But he's been quite involved in the game, and Tipperary will be getting a bit happy now with the situation.
Again, remember, they have the aid of a slight breeze. Maybe it's a considerable breeze down there in the first half. Conal Bonner held up by Tony O'Sullivan.
Cork half forward line really haven't gone to the game yet. Timmy Keller, Tomás Mulcahy and Tony O'Sullivan, and that'll be very important, because they have to get a supply of ball into the dangerous full forward line, which they just haven't done yet.
Conal Bonner, the free taker, in towards his brother. Cormac runs on. Ger Cunningham again, last line of defence, and again very secure. Felt he might be hooked, hand passed it outside, but John Lahey in there to pick up the pieces. In towards Ger Cunningham, wheeling backwards, touched Billy off the post that time. Comes out as far as Pat Fox, striking it, blocked down brilliantly. Again Fox following up, players calling for it. One of them is Declan Ryan. Ryan snapping at it fast and puts it over the bar. From 20 metres out. Delighted with himself, no doubt. He's got his first point of the day. With about 7 minutes to go to half-time.
Well, this resulted from a poor clearance by Ger Cunningham under pressure. Thought he was going to be hooped, and he elected to knock it away there again. But Nick English does very well, keeps the ball in play, knocks it back to Fox, who's bottled up quite quickly after being blocked down here. But again, Fox so quick onto it, always looking for the loose man outside him, gives a good ball back to Declan Ryan, and he wouldn't want to miss from there. Good score.
Sean O'Gorman was injured as he felt the full force of that ball from Fox initially. He got the first block down. Dr. Con Murphy in there with Gerald McCarthy, the team trainer, just to attend to the corner back. He's certainly a player who's contributed handsomely to Cork's cause down the years. Couldn't always depend on a first team place. Really felt that on the side of the face. So Sean O'Gorman able to continue, and he is marking Nicky English in this match. So a game that has really yet to come to full life, one feels. Conal Bonner staying back, giving the supply of the ball across towards Michael Cleary, but Fox getting there first against Dennis Walsh. Tip now more and more beginning to impose their will. It's a huge one from way out the field. Very ambitious by Fox. It's Tipperary's 6th wide against 2 wides for Cork in the opening 30 minutes.
Nick English looking up at Pat Fox and asking why didn't he let that ball across the 21 again. But Tipperary do that quite well, and they're always trying to bring each other into play. And Pat, with a fairly ambitious shot, he doesn't normally score from that far from goal.
Teddy McCarthy with a second super catch. Trying to penetrate. Inside towards John Fitzgibbon, and John Fitzgibbon in there. And it's Paul Delaney who commits the indiscretion. It's going to be a free in from the 20-metre line. Debated and argued by Paul Delaney, supported by Noel Sheehy and Bobby Ryan, just asking them all to keep cool heads.
Quite honestly, I didn't think it was a free in here. Both players seem to go to play the ball. Paul Delaney knocks the ball away cleanly, and a very harsh decision.
Tony O'Sullivan takes the gift chance nonetheless, puts it over the bar for his second pointed free. So now just 2 between them. Just begin to wonder whether there will be a goal in this first half. Number of near chances. Aidan Ryan towards Pat Fox, again Brian Corcoran ambitiously trying to catch it, didn't succeed. Cormac Bonner trying to keep it away from Dennis Mulcahy, the player came back out of retirement. Now Pat Fox again, Corcoran's the number 2, Fox advancing, held up. And it's going to be a free to Cork in fact. We've noted a switch back once again by the centre forward and the full forward for Tipperary. Declan Ryan now back on the 40, Cormac Bonner back on the fringe of the small square. Don't be knowing quite too much about that. Timmy Kelleher reacting quickly. Conall Bonner for a very dominant half back line for Tipperary. Now Tony O'Sullivan switching across here. Colin Bonner has followed. Ball beats them all, however, and it's going to be a Tipperary sideline ball. A place in the Munster final in 4 weeks' time at stake. Tony O'Sullivan, who burst on the scene around 1982, has been very much ever present ever since. So Colin Bonner, stopped by Teddy McCarthy, despite the attentions of John Lahey. Into space, George Friend trying to come across with, following the path from Ger Fitzgerald. Now to Kevin Hennessy, his clubmate from Middleton. Back in towards the team captain, runs on instead to Tony O'Sullivan, steadying himself. And he's put it wide, and that was a great chance. And Tony, I think, felt that he went over the bar, arguing the point there with the referee. But the linesman was quite adamant, or rather the umpire was quite adamant.
Well, it was a good ball back by Kevin Hennessy, and it just Tony O'Sullivan's man slips here, and Tony's normally deadly from this distance. But I think in fairness, from where I was sitting, it definitely drifted wide. Difficult to say from the angle there.
No doubt about it. Teddy McCarthy down towards Ger Fitzgerald against George Friend. Ball beats them all. Friend going back against Kevin Hennessy. Now Tomas Mulcahy coming into the breach. And a player who's done that successfully in a couple of All-Ireland finals and went on to score very good goals. This occasion denied by a determined tip defence. Cathal Casey supplying the ball back in towards John Fitzgibbon. There against Paul Delaney. Noel Sheehy going back. No full forward to challenge him. Hennessy coming in late. Declan Carr. A minute to go to half-time. Sean O'Gorman standing his ground, half blocked by Declan Ryan, gets it out the second time towards Tony O'Sullivan, breaks it down. Lahey without the stick. And Lahey has gone down. He was challenged by Tony O'Sullivan. I must say, I didn't think it was particularly malicious by any manner of means, but Lahey hit the deck very quickly.
High dropping ball between Colin Bonner comes out here, and John Lahey kicks the ball. I feel like Tony O'Sullivan following through.
Oh yes.
It was arm up in the air.
The arm was in the air, and yes it was.
I don't think he made a very heavy connection, but it's most unlike Tony O'Sullivan.
Paul Casey now. Donald Bonner coming across to take it securely. On towards Bobby Ryan. Ryan advancing despite the attentions, and some wild pulling there from Kevin Hennessy. Oh, another elbow. A game that's turning ugly. And Paul Casey was going in to add his top and safety work as well, and now they all exchange some angry gestures, most on-tip and on-Cork-like. But the referee has isolated Kevin Hennessy initially for that high elbow on John Lahey, with the game virtually in injury time in the first half. The linesman was in there as well to also add his counsel. This is how it all started, Jimmy.
Well, you can see a lot of loose pulling here, and Kevin Hennessy just knocked Bobby Ryan aside there, and you see John Lahey come in, and Kevin, I don't honestly think he caught him full in the face there with that elbow. I think John Lahey's okay. I don't think it was as bad as what it looked.
So Hennessy has his name taken. First caution in a match which is usually played in the best possible spirit, just a hint of frustration. And the referee has also called aside Declan Ryan, something that the linesman pointed out to him when he came in that time.
In fairness, I think the referee is dead right there. I don't think it was that serious an offence. There was a lot of loose pulling in, a lot of jostling up, and players elbowing up to one another. But I don't think it was anything that serious. And John Lahey's perfectly okay after it.
I think Declan Ryan just followed up on after that incident there. Had his name taken for it. So the ball thrown in. Colin Bonner. At least it's close to half-time and tempers can cool down. And the tension will be taken out somewhat by the 10-minute interval, with just 2 points separating the teams. Two teams who can play a lot better than this. Casey. Nicely cut inside towards Kevin Hennessy. Comes down off the fingertips of Noel Sheehy, I think. Still on that 13-metre line. Loose ball eventually taken out by the experienced Bobby Ryan, who made his championship debut here against Cork back in 1982. And again the referee's whistle sounds, and it's going to be a free in to Tipperary. Or free to Cork, I should say. Free in to Cork from the 20-metre line, tight angle. So a chance for Tony O'Sullivan, with the game well into injury time, nearly 2 minutes played, to put just a point between the teams and balance it very delicately for the second 35 minutes. And he's done precisely that. 3 points, all from frees, his contribution, and a good contribution in the first half. Trying to gee up his colleagues. The referee, I think, giving the signal that there's just the puck out to come. That's it for the first half. A largely disappointing opening 20 minutes, but bit by bit the teams came a bit more into the game. There's a lot of support for both teams, both sets of fans trying to encourage their side to get the points that will matter. At half-time, as you see, it's Tipperary who lead by a point, 6 points to 5. We'll be back.
Because the champions there, Down, also put their title on the line today. They had to travel to Armagh for what threatened to be a tough opening game in their defence campaign. Well, let's take a look at some of the scores from the first half of that game now, with commentary by Marty Morrissey and Colm O'Rourke.
Now got 2 minutes of injury time played in this first half. A long, probing ball, a dangerous ball. Oh, superbly gathered. Oh, what a goal! An absolute pinch of a goal. Copybook stuff, written and finished by one James McCartan.
John Kelly kicks it in here high. Again, Down not too fussy about the way that they're to get this ball. And caught inside by James McCartan. And when he turns, best player in the business to turn and shoot, gives Brendan Tierney no chance whatsoever with that from about 10 yards out.
Neil Smith falling outside is Damien Horrisk. This is Horrisk going through for goal. Oh, off the crossbar. Now that's unlucky. Here come Armagh again. This is Gareth O'Neill sending it over the bar. It's a little consolation, but suddenly Armagh could be inspired by Brendan Tierney at the other end.
Yes, and the final result of that match, in fact, down 1 at 112 to 9 points, and you can see extended highlights of that game in our Sunday game programme tonight on Network 2 at 8 o'clock. For the moment, though, let's turn our attention back to this afternoon's hurling in Páirc. John Henderson has joined me in studio this afternoon. John, a look back at that first half. A lot of nervous hurling in it. Tipperary seemed to have the better of it. It's only a point between them at half-time, though.
Yeah, very true. You know, both teams started in the expected frenzy. I think it's a case of both full back lines dominating. It's no point getting the ball up the field if you're not translating it into scores. Tip seem to be getting more ball up the field, but
sure,
it's not materialising on the scoreboard. It's certainly anybody's game, and it's using an old cliche, but I don't know what way it's going to go at this stage.
Yeah, well, nobody does. It's quite interesting because looking back at the statistics, we'll say, from that first half, Cork have only scored 1 point from play so far, and yet they're only a point down.
Very true. I mean, like, you'd be expecting Tony O'Sullivan to have 4 or 5 points at this stage in any game, and he's just got 1, and he's free taking. But I don't know. I mean, I think whoever gets the first goal will certainly go ahead and probably win it, because we had a feast of goals the last time we met, and now we're starved for them. Definitely the first goal will have a vital bearing in this game.
It's not unlike the past few meetings between the two sides. There was a burst of scoring at the end. If there is a burst of scoring in this one, which side is it going to be on, do you fancy?
You know, personally, I think maybe if Cork, John Fitzgibbon gets enough of the ball, he looks sharp. Then again, Nicky English at the other side is due to make an impression in the game, and if he's going to do it, he has to do it in this half.
Mm-hmm. All right, John, an intriguing prospect nonetheless for that second half. We'll be joining that second half in a few moments. Right now, we're going to take another commercial break. Please do stay with us. Still in their dressing rooms at half-time in Páirc. We'll be going back there very shortly. Let me, for the moment, I'll just turn again to John Henderson. John, before the break, you were making the point that defences are dominating in this game. But Cork, I would put it to you, have not found anything at midfield so far in this game that would give their fans any degree of great confidence, let's say.
Very true, Michael. I mean, they're not winning at centre field, and their half-forward line is certainly not working. They're getting just marginal amount of balls from their half-back line to their full forward line. And I think if Cork are to stamp their authority in this game, they want to start winning ball at centre forward, carry the ball at tip backs and create the overlap. And this hasn't happened mainly due to the two Bonners. They're having exceptional games on both wings, and they're really dominating the game, and they're launching attack after attack for Tipperary. But I feel Cork at centre field will want to win more possession of the ball, get it in faster to their full forward line, and certainly open them up in the half. Tomás Mulcahy, you were kind of waiting for one of these typical runs through the middle, and that's not happening. But that's great credit to Tipperary backs. They're doing their business, they're doing the job.
Well, let's see if Cork can do anything about it in the second half, because the teams are ready to begin the fray again. So Tipperary leading by 6 points to 5 at half-time. Let's rejoin our commentary team at Páirc, Jimmy Barry Murphy and Ger Canning.
Stakelum is in. Conor Stakelum in the Tipperary team for the second half in place of the injured Cormac Bonner. So Bonner off and Conor Stakelum in. And we're also trying to see whether or not Cork have made any switches with their forward line. And I've noted that they've brought in Pat Buckley. And just waiting to see who's gone off. It's Timmy Kelleher, in fact, who's made his way off. So Pat Buckley, who played in last year's championship matches against the same opposition, coming in at right half forward. So just a point in it.
I think Timmy Kelleher tried hard job, but he's not really a natural half forward, and couldn't get into the game. I think Cork are right to try and bring in Pat Buckley. He played well last year's championship, very wholehearted player, not the fastest, but can do a good job. And as the game is so tight now, it's very important for Cork that their half forward line get into the game and start getting the ball into their full forward line.
Well, the delay is just waiting for the Carrigaline Pipe Band to complete their selection. Everybody else is ready.
It'll be interesting to see how Tipperary forward line react to Cormac Bonner not being there. He's such a good target man for them in the past. But it has to be said, they didn't really threaten to score a goal in the first half, apart from that one kick there by Cormac himself. So it'll be interesting to see how Conor Stakelum plays a full forward.
So just a point separating the teams, and it's Declan Ryan back on the 40. Clearly pressing forward, but illegally in the referee's opinion. And Brian Corcoran coming out of his left corner back position to take the free. So just about 65, a little inside the 65-metre line. That's the angle that confronts him. Has he got the distance, the length? He has, magnificently over the bar. So, the sides level in the opening 40 minutes of the second half. 2 long-range frees by Brian Corcoran so far.
Great score there with Brian Corcoran, and he was striking the ball a long way against the wind in the first half, and Tipperary wouldn't want to be giving away any frees in their own half forward line or midfield, because he strikes the ball an awful long way and he's very, very accurate.
Teddy McCarthy quite influential in that first half in midfield. It's Declan Carr now. The champions then bidding to hold on to their title at the first defence. Cathal Casey. Now Pat Buckley trying to make some headway. Paul Delaney in there with Conall Bonner. Conall Bonner the one who takes it out. John Lahey. Declan Carr once more, 65 metres out, kicking it forward, stopped by Jim Cashman. Cashman in towards Kevin Hennessy, comes down towards John Fitzgibbon who's waiting for it, but Conall Bonner the one who reacts quickest of all. Out towards Aidan Ryan, fine catch by Aidan Ryan, under pressure. Down towards Declan Ryan. Challenged by Jim Cashman, and a foul by Jim Cashman. Well, they had something of a set 2 last year, you may recall, in their particular match. It's going to be a free for Tipperary. Michael Cleary going across to take it. Hit 3 points in the first half, one of them from play. Nicely guided in, stopped again by Ger Connolly. He was having a really good match. Very secure in his handling. Up towards Tony O'Sullivan for a half-forward line that really never got on top of the opposing half-back line so far. Now to Ross Mulcahy against Bobby Ryan. Ryan standing firm, supported by Conall Bonner. The challenge by Tomas Mulcahy and Pat Buckley. Still gets in his stroke. Nicely caught over there, well guarded by Cathal Casey. Up towards Ger Fitzgerald, there against George Friend. Friend, who's had a very good match. Standing firm, getting in the clearance towards John Lahey. Takes down the ball beautifully. Jim Cashman coming out, fouled by Declan Ryan. So they go foul for foul in the second half from the smile on the face of Jim Cashman.
Brian Corcoran again, you're up with another pot of goal here, and he'll be very close again with this one, but it's significant now that Jim Cashman is starting to come into the game just like he did in last year's Munster finals, and he's a very important player for Cork because he launches the ball into the attack very, very well.
Yes, he was the player who's broken Tipperary hearts on a few occasions. Corcoran dropping this one in short towards the half-forward line. Buckley lets it run out towards an alert Tony O'Sullivan, and he's put it over the bar, and Cork take the lead. The cheers ringing around Cork and Chaoimh as the rebel county go in front. Well, the first time they've hit the front in this match. At the Black Rock end, all manner of colour on view. And this is the point once again, Jimmy, and again Tony O'Sullivan doing what he does so well.
Vintage Tony O'Sullivan, this is what his hallmark is: snappy up loose play and deadly accurate. I like the way Cork approached the start of the second half. They look very, very eager.
Ball played in again. Kevin Hennessy in after it. Ball runs loose. John Fitzgibbon, the first goal! John Fitzgibbon, whose record in the championship against Tipperary, it's 5 goals in 3 games. Make that now 6. Well, just as we were watching the replay, here it is once again. The ball fed in from way out the field.
High dropping ball in here. Kevin Hennessy, no shield timing for it. And this is where Fitzgibbon is so good. Always alert to the half chance. That's why the Cork lads call him Skillachi. He's deadly on the half chance.
So that goal after 5 minutes of the second half, the first goal of the match. And it's Pat Buckley now for Cork, trying to press home their advantage in against George Friend. Pushed by Friend, free into Cork. Cork's 11th free in the match, the third of the second half.
Tipperary looking a bit ragged at the start of the second half. They seem to be upset on that midfield, and Cork are certainly getting on top. And John Fitzgibbon is an extraordinary player. He's had a very poor year so far, but when it comes to the big day, he certainly knows where to put the ball.
Tony O'Sullivan hoping that he knows where to put the ball, and indeed he does, straight between the posts. So that's now 5 points for Tony O'Sullivan. 4 of them from Breeze. So all of a sudden, there's 5 points between the teams. That's quite a turnabout, and we've only got just over 5 minutes gone in the second half. Pat Buckley taking his chance now that he's come in as a replacement for Timmy Kelleher. Conall Bonner. Nicely played by Dennis Welch. Sideline ball for Tipperary. And Babs will just be wondering, I'm sure, whether those wasted chances from the first half when Tipperary hit 6 wides in all, whether that will in fact be the costly factor. Still a lot of time to go, just under a half an hour. Jim Cashman. Brian Corcoran once again, taking it under pressure. Shirley McCarthy. That's stopped by Conall Bonner. Down across towards John Lahey. Lahey again. He got a goal in a similar position last year when he went straight through, this time outside towards Conor Stakelum. Dispossessed, and it's Dennis Mulcahy. Way downfield. Conall Bonner brilliantly under it. Pressurised. George Friend coming out of his cornerback position. Challenged by Tomas Mulcahy. Closed down. Fouled and a free to Tipperary. Well, the Cork mentors, that's the county chairman there in the centre, Tony O'Mahony. Dan Hoare there just to his right-hand side, and the selectors there with Martin Coleman in quickly considering options. Gerald McCarthy in the thick of it as well. Meanwhile, it's Conall Bonner for a Tipperary team that needs scores badly at the start of the second half. Fox who may supply one for them from that pass down by Nicky English, and he's put it over the bar. The brilliance of Pat Fox superbly illustrated in that simple move. Touchdown by English. Fox anticipating, waiting, and striking it magnificently. So 4 between them, and look how fired up Pat Fox is.
By English, and feeds it off to Fox. They team up so well together, but Tip need to get Fox and English into the game because they're going to have to get scores. Cork look more eager, hungrier for the ball, and Tipperary just looking a little bit of a tired team at the moment.
Conor Stakelum was spoken to there by Babs Keating, and making his way out from full forward in probably a switch. Meanwhile, Noel Sheehy standing firm. Colin Bonner, an unkind bounce. Challenged by Tony O'Sullivan. Still Colin Bonner, the PE teacher based in Waterford. Up towards Declan Ryan. Ryan now at centre half forward. Jim Cashman allowing him a little bit of latitude. Down towards Fox once again. Very much the target man. 45 metres out. Again, looking for the score. This time stopped by the goalkeeping skills of Ger Cunningham. 4 points the margin. Cork on top. Pat Buckley. 65 metres out. Inside towards Kevin Hennessy. Just getting there ahead of Noel Sheehy, turning round 3 tip men. Inside towards Ger Fitzgerald, breaks down kindly towards Tony O'Sullivan, trying to turn around Colin Bonner, despite the late attentions of Noel Sheehy, puts it over the bar. Another point for Tony O'Sullivan, who's injured. A super shot by Tony O'Sullivan, and the Páirc men with 6 points so far. So, attention required.
High ball in again to the Tipperary defence. Tony O'Sullivan, the quickest player to react, snaps it up, and he's very quick in the situation, and gets a very good point. Doesn't show actually what happened. Tony missed that, but again, Tony's so quick in that situation, and he's deadly accurate. Really coming into the game now, and that's what Cork will be hoping for. He's the type of player that can snap up those chances, and Tipperary will need to tighten up completely on him.
Well, Michael O'Brien, the team coach, anxious for a big performance for his team, getting a big performance certainly from Tony O'Sullivan with the 6 points. His footwork in a situation like that really admirable, able to dance his way around the opponent, set himself up for a good scoring chance.
So it's interesting that they're very full forward line. You'd think they need a goal to come back into the game, but they play quite a long way from goal. The 3 full forwards are 40 yards at least from goal every time they get the ball outside.
That's Conor Stakelum, switched to the 40 with Declan Ryan, got in full forward again. I think this is an effort to unsettle Jim Cashman, who has really dominated Cork tip matches in recent years. This is Pat Buckley. Stopped by Paul Delaney now. Delaney had a very good first half against John Fitzgibbon. Tomas Mulcahy trying to come more and more into the match. On for Fitzgibbon again. Short pass. Return to Tomas Mulcahy. Advancing. Steadying. But shooting it wide. He had a quick look up that time to see just where Bobby Ryan was, anticipating a hoop, but in fact he gained a few yards from Bobby Ryan. In the end, Cork's first wide of the second half, they're 4th and all. Nicky English coming out from corner forward to try and get possession. Goes to Declan Carr inside towards Pat Fox. Fumble, comes back to Brian Corcoran. Up towards Jim Cashman. Declan Carr trying to come in and tighten in on Jim Cashman. And Cashman gets it across towards Pat Buckley's wing. Lahey trying to scoop it forward. Lahey now in the clear, nobody on him. Knocked in invitingly again for Pat Fox. Down towards Declan Ryan, on it goes towards Michael Cleary. The cue up inside, it's blocked down by Brian Corcoran again. Back to Cleary, turning on the 13-metre line, inside towards Declan Ryan. Fox, loose inside, just for a moment, it's still Ryan. Aidan Ryan is also free, and Jerk Cunningham makes a great save. And there were 2 Tip players queuing up in there waiting for that one. Aidan Ryan was there, Pat Fox was there. It's the Cork fans who cheer. They've got a very secure goalkeeper, Jerk Cunningham, playing this afternoon in his 37th championship match.
Well, Jerry, just want to say what an asset Jerk Cunningham is. He's so safe under those balls, and other goalkeepers might take the eye off him. Jerry's so fast to read it, never takes the eye off it, gathers it beautifully, and his clearance is also a great asset. But very good anticipation here. He gathers it clean in his hand, and his clearance are a big factor also from puckouts with the wind behind him here.
Tipperary clearly upset by the amount of advantage Cork are gaining in midfield, have brought John Lahey back into the centre in a switch with Aidan Ryan, who is left half forward. Meanwhile, it's Bobby Ryan. 12 minutes into the second half. That goal has certainly put it up to both teams effectively, and it certainly opened it up more as a contest. Now Aidan Ryan trying to open up the Cork defence. A good scoring chance, and he's put it over the bar. An 8th point of the match for Tipperary, a first for Aidan Ryan since his switch into left half forward. So 4 points between them.
Good play by Tipperary. Cleary again spots the loose man outside him, and Aidan Ryan does the right thing. Tip need to take points and try and bring this back in touch with Cork. And I know Cork bringing another substitute now. Pat Hart is coming to the game, and he's also very important there for Cork.
Well, we're just beginning to wonder when Cork would spring Pat Hart in from their bench. Here he is, he's in, playing on John Lahey in replacement for Shawnee McCarthy. So that's in a direct move to make sure that Lahey doesn't exert the kind of influence that he exerted time and again in last year's 2 ties. Here he is, back there, pressurised. Tony O'Sullivan again trying to dance his way away from challenges. Inside towards Kevin Hennessy, outside towards Pat Buckley, again stealing forward. And this time he just overholds, and it's going to be a free out for Tipperary. Ken Hogan will take the free. Cork also made a switch with Tony O'Sullivan and Ger Fitzgerald being switched. Fitzgerald now on the half-forward line. The pressure on the Cork back line. Declan Ryan, it bounces away. Brian Corcoran again. Dispossessed by Conor Stakelum. Stakelum, who's dispossessed in turn by Sean O'Gorman, and it's going to be a 65. A second 65 for Tipperary, the first of this second half. Well, there we saw a very good example of Conor Stakelum, who is a very busy, untiring kind of forward, can never be absolutely sure of gaining admission, as it were, to the Tipperary forward line, but when he gets his chance, he rarely disappoints.
It's an important 65 now for Michael Cleary. If he can get this, it just leaves Tip a goal behind, and it just keeps them ticking over at a time when they're not playing particularly well, but it brings them to within the goal of Cork, and if they do that, much like last year, again, anything can happen.
A very important one indeed, and it lands to the left, and it's gone wide. Disappointment for Michael Cleary. Their first wide of the second half, which is an indication of the kind of possession that's been going in the opposite direction from the Cork forward line. And again, Jimmy, you just wonder about that breeze.
Yeah, it's quite stiff, John. As I said in the first half, Jerk Cunningham's puckouts are a huge advantage. Watch where this one is going to land. It's right up in the Tipperary half, inside their half-back line almost.
It's gone a huge distance. Pat Buckley against Bobby Ryan. Buckley, the Milford man, across towards John Fitzgibbon, the goal scorer, watched all the way by Paul Delaney. Dispossessed without his hurley, Fitzgibbon, and the referee signalling for him, wild pull by Delaney. A hint of frustration in his actions there. He's had a very, very good first half. Then in the 5th minute of the second half, he saw John Fitzgibbon tap that ball in for the only goal so far, and now penalised and booked.
Amazingly here, John Fitzgibbon actually lost his hurley, but he still chased after it, managed to gather it football style. Paul Delaney quite stupidly pulled across from there when John Fitzgibbon had no chance of hitting the ball across the goal. And good refereeing again, and he's very quick in, and deserved booking for Paul Delaney.
Tipperary considering their options. The option here being Rémi Ryan, who's a back, of course. Played in the league final against Limerick. Meanwhile, Tony O'Sullivan taking every chance that's coming his way. The points mounting up for him. I make that now 7 points in all. A very, very good tally. Colin Bonner has been taken off. The team captain may have picked up an injury. He's limping his way off. Rémi Ryan comes on for his first taste of championship action from the Cashel King Cormac's club, of course. Well, they'll have met before because Ger Fitzgerald, the Cork captain, is a Middleton man. And of course Rémi Ryan of Cashel, they played in the Munster club final. Cleary. Declan Ryan. Ryan blocked down by Jim Cashman. Up towards Pat Buckley. Runs over the head of John Lahey. Held off his man, just waiting for Bobby Ryan to come across. Pressurised. The pressure paying off. Pat Buckley advancing. Bobby going back to tidy up the work. Ger Fitzgerald showing great heart and determination. He's put it over the bar. There was a steely determination about the Cork forward line, showing great backup. That's Rémi Ryan and Ger Fitzgerald exchanging glances and words. It's a great point by Ger Fitzgerald.
That's a great score by Ger Fitzgerald, and very good work again by Pat Buckley, who was done first class as he came in. He's been a great substitute for Cork, working very hard and creating a lot of openings by his wholehearted play. And Ger Fitzgerald, that's a great skill in hurling, doesn't even catch the ball, just lets it fly off the hurley. An inspirational score by the Cork captain.
The inspiration now provided by John Fitzgibbon. Tipperary looking ragged, they're in serious trouble. Across to Kevin Hennessy, and he's put it over, and there was a goal there for the taking. Well, he can't believe it. Well, he certainly knew there was a goal chance. Tipper brought Nicky English onto the 40, such as their concern about the dominance of the Cork half back line now in the second half. It's English against Jim Cashman.
Well, the Cork forwards are certainly getting the legs on Tipperary backline, and again, good play there by John Fitzgibbon, and spotted the opening. Kevin Hennessy, small bit disappointed that Kevin didn't get a goal himself, I'd say, but he took a good point, and it keeps Cork just taking their chances as they come, and they're certainly looking very good today. Very sharp in their play, and Tipperary forward line don't look like getting a goal at all at this stage, and I might beat my words in a minute, but the Cork backs are really getting on top.
6 points, and a little more, I think it's 7 points, in fact, separating the teams just now, following that last score by Kevin Hennessy. So Tip really with an awful lot to do. That's Pat Hartnett, the UCC student. Up towards Kevin Hennessy, there against Noel Sheehy. Sheehy, the bank official based in Limerick, placing that ball into the centre of the field. Teddy McCarthy sails in the air, it goes over his head. Bobby Ryan. Can Ryan inspire this Tip team to hold on? Michael Cleary. Jim Cashman jumping all alone. Closed down now. That's Nicky English out around the 40. Foul by Pat Hartnett, who acknowledges his indiscretion instantly. It'll be a free for Tipperary. Michael Cleary will come across to take it with a quarter of an hour remaining. This match, of course, coming to you live on RT Television, RT1, the Munster Hurling Championship semi-final. Cork v Tip from Páirc Chaoimh. Cleary hoping to add to an impressive points tally. He's put it wide. He's missed a couple now in the second half after hitting 3 in the opening 35 minutes. So 2 wides now for Tip in the second half. 8 in all for Cork. Just 4 wides, far more economical. The pattern seemed to be set in the opening 35 minutes. Tip were on top, had the better quality chances of scores. They put 6 wides outside the post and may well be paying for that now. Declan Carr, stopped by Tomás Mulcahy, but unfairly. Free to Tipperary.
Looking last year, Cork had a 7-point lead here in Páirc and lost it, but their play is so determined today, and their backs are getting out to the ball in front now. Jim Cashman's starting to dominate also. And I'm surprised Tipperary have left Nick English at centre forward. I would have thought they needed a goal. They try and put him in closer to goal where he can be so dangerous, and their inside forwards are certainly not threatening a goal at this stage.
They're certainly looking for a piece of inspiration from someplace, but Brian Corcoran, defiant, having a magnificent match in his first championship match against Tipperary. Bobby Ryan on to Lahey. Can he engineer the scores yet? That runs loose, comes across towards Pat Fox. They need the sharpness of Fox now, but going out there is Cathal Casey and Dennis Mulcahy. Mulcahy playing a stormer at full back. Through the centre, that's Conal Bonner. Bonner turning on his right-hand side. Teddy McCarthy racing across here with Declan Carr. No push, the referee decides. But the pile up, and it's going to be a throw-in. Teddy McCarthy certainly felt the effect of that with Declan Ryan in pursuit. Just wait a second, lads. Referee in his third championship match. Overall, he's had a very good game. John Lahey, dispossessed by Pat Hartnett, and Hartnett, a judge to have chopped down. And on the 45-metre line, despite the booing of the Cork people, it's going to be a free to Tipperary, and every one of these chances vital. Well, Michael Cleary had missed a couple, and he seems now to be leaving this one to Conor Stakelum. This is a real pressure free here for Conor Stakelum, and he responds very well. A real wholehearted player playing in his 5th championship match this afternoon, having made his debut against Limerick in 1990. Bobby Ryan going back, judging the flight of the ball well, pursued by Pat Buckley all the way. He's made a good 30 yards, the hand pass inside to his brother Aidan. Aidan driving it in towards Fox there against Brian Corcoran. Fox has got it. Blocked down by Ger Cunningham, and it's gone out for another 65. Well, that was a brilliant stop by Ger Cunningham, who's really having a magnificent match.
Great goalkeeping by Ger Cunningham. He's so important to the Cork game. He came off his line there, and he spotted the danger straight away with Fox gathering a great ball in fairness, and it looked like a good chance to go, but Ger follows him out and blocks down brilliantly, knocks it out for a 65. But again, Ger Cunningham's puckouts are so significant. They're putting Tipperary under huge pressure. They're dropping right into their own full back line.
Conor Stakelum, just out of vision there. Rémi Ryan trying to keep Tony O'Sullivan at bay. That's on its way again. So 2 in a row now for Conor Stakelum, and they're vital frees. He's bringing his team right back into it. 5 between them, and a tip could get a goal. Well, who knows?
Great scores by Stakelum. It's not easy at this stage. He's taken over the free-taking duties, and that's never easy to do, but in fairness to him, they're under pressure, and he got 2 of them. Great scores, and it gives Tim a bit of hope.
Tip full forward on at the moment, reading Declan Ryan, Pat Fox and Conor Stakelum. Oh, beating John Fitzgibbon. Just about 10 minutes to go as Cork refashion their forward line as well, make a number of positional switch. Ger Fitzgerald is now on Bobby Ryan at centre forward. Pat Hartnett still on John Lahey. Tennessee calling out the instructions there against Noel Sheehy. Cathal Casey ready to cut this one in. Remember him scoring a point in the 1990 match from a free, and that's gone in! Ger Fitzgerald, or Tomás Mulcahy rather, it's Tomás Mulcahy who's got the goal. Now playing at right corner forward, a second goal in the second half after 25 minutes, and Mulcahy the goal scorer.
Páirc Casey cuts this beautiful sideline ball here, and Tomás Mulcahy was just gone into the right corner forward position, comes in beautifully and one-handed flicks it into the corner. Great goal by Tomás Mulcahy. He's got some important goals for Cork in the past, and that could be the one to close the door on Tipperary here.
Well, now Tip, not just a mountain to climb, but virtually an Everest. That's gone wide. The kind of ball the inside forward line of Tipperary requires not being supplied. And it's the jubilant Cork fans at the Black Rock end of Páirc, a Canadian flag up there and various other flags as well. Watching as Ger Cunningham pucks the ball out with just about 9 minutes to go, and 8 points the margin, to 12 to 10 points in Cork's favour. Bobby Ryan coming out of his centre half back position. He's had a great game, crossing the 65-metre line, but it shows too much of it in the end to Jim Cashman. A case of players who are in form just doing a little bit too much. Paul Delaney unmarked. Dennis Mulcahy coming out and staying there with Declan Ryan. Dennis Walsh going back. Rémi Ryan now for Tipperary. Across towards Conor Stakelam's wing. Nicky English has gone back in there. This is English. They need a score badly. A goal at that. Across the face of the goal, and he's put it wide. Fox exchanging Fox exchanging punches in there. Seems to be Dennis Mulcahy was his target. Ger Cunningham isolating the Cork full back. But real disappointment for Tipperary as that hand pass just didn't yield dividends.
Jerry looked out on a goal here. Nicky English going through. I thought he should have shot it himself instead of passing across the goal. He had a clear shot at goal, and there was no one loose really inside there, and I think Nicky should have had a shot at goal directly there himself. Great chance and badly needed.
Well, at this stage, Tipperary playing with just 2 inside forwards effectively. Fox and Aidan Ryan has also gone up there. So they're making so many switches around. Meanwhile, it's still Leahy and Declan Carr at midfield. But the tide flowing against Tipperary and very much in Cork's favour. A good, solid second half performance by the home team here.
Cork half back, and in particular Gerald got on top. Dennis Welch, Jim Cashman and Kyle Casey, and their clearances into the Tipperary defence have done the damage, I think.
In by Leahy towards Fox. Comes down. Fox again. Still denied, dispossessed. And it's Brian Corcoran against Aidan Ryan. Corcoran again doing Trojan work, but he pushes Aidan Ryan. It's a free into Tipperary. A free to Tipperary on the 20-metre line. A little bit of holding, I think, by Brian Corcoran on his man.
What a game he's having, though. His covering for a 19-year-old player is absolutely unbelievable. He's giving an exhibition of cornerback play.
Well, they weren't too confident in Cork during the week, but they're certainly confident at this stage, and that's put over the bar by Conor Stakelam. Just about raises a cheer from the Tip fans at the opposite end of the field. So a big gap. There are 6 minutes to go. Cork leading by 7 points. But unlike last year, they don't look like surrendering it. Noel Sheehy coming out, leaving the ball behind him. Pat Hartnett there, shouldered by Rémi Ryan. Tony O'Sullivan now. What a marvellous match in the half-forward line. Played across again towards Tomás Mulcahy. Ken Hogan with the clearance. Broken down again towards Conor Stakelam. Appeals for Cathal Casey. And the linesman across there saying, I'm the boss. I'm really disappointed. Nicky English hasn't scored in the match. Now playing it full forward. Declan Ryan on the 40. Casey fumbling the sideline cut. Still it reaches Pat Hartnett. Challenged by Declan Ryan. Ball played inside towards Fitzgibbon. Always coming looking for a score. Tomás Mulcahy whipping on, it's Tony O'Sullivan. O'Sullivan again, stopped. Kevin Hennessy, ball played out by the fullback Noel Sheehy. Comes out to the centre. Leahy trying to take possession. Cashman. Dennis Walsh now coming clear. Teddy McCarthy. With some really good moments in the first half. That looks to be on the right-hand side of the goal. Just Cork's second wide in the half, their 5th in all. Taken again by Cathal Casey, advancing despite the attentions of Conor Stakelam as we're inside the last 5 minutes. The hand pass across towards Pat Buckley. He did really well to hold on to it. Tomas Mulcahy outside him. Trying to turn inside George Friend. And Ken Hogan just nursing it off to the side of the goal and outside and wide. Well, it's interesting how the lead between these two teams has changed over the last number of years. Cork, winners in 1990, Tip coming back in 91, and now it looks like being Cork again in 92. Brian Corcoran. Declan Carr fumbling it, getting support from Bobby Ryan, and the referee whistles up. And a very disappointed Babs Keating there with John O'Donoghue. Former Tipperary goalkeeper, of course, current selector. Well, they've made switches just about everywhere in their forward line to get something moving. But the fluency simply isn't there, and that's a tribute really to the Cork backline. Teddy McCarthy back amongst the backs. With 3 minutes to go, towards Pat Buckley's wing, out there with Conal Bonner. Tomas Mulcahy one-handed forward towards Ger Fitzgerald. Bobby Ryan trying to put in a challenge. Buckley once again, steadying himself. Well, using up a couple of seconds, and Ken Hogan in a big hurry now.
During the second half, Tipperary certainly have looked a very tired team, and the Cork backs got on top of them and getting that ball away quickly. No nonsense hurling. They'll be delighted with this performance.
Jim Cashman booting it outside to Tony O'Sullivan, standing his ground there against Aidan Ryan. Up towards John Fitzgibbon. Paul Delaney keeping a tight rein on him. Tomas Mulcahy back on the 40 again where he started this match. Rémi Ryan. Nicely taken down by Conor Stakelum to Declan Ryan. Well, it's a goal they so badly need. In towards Nicky Ryan, or Nicky English I should say. There's so many Ryans of this Tipperary team. Can't hold on to it. That's Dennis Mulcahy who's stripped. Belted out of defence by Cathal Casey. On towards Pat Buckley. Shoulder there by Noel Sheehy. Hartnett once more. George Friend back, minding the house at full back. John Lahey now trying to go through, stopped unfairly. Referee not seeing it as a shoulder-to-shoulder action, rather a shoulder into the front of John Lahey. Tips 20 at 3. Declan Carr, last year's captain, tapping it in. They need goals. Nicky English dispossessed, and it's Dennis Mulcahy. Well, they said there was a problem with full-back, and he certainly appears to have solved that. Responding to the cheers of the Cork fans, driving it downfield, stopped by Rémi Ryan for Tipperary. Just over a minute remaining. The champions on their way out, it seems. Tony O'Sullivan against Michael Cleary. Up towards Ger Fitzgerald. That's George Friend, who's fouled by Ger Fitzgerald. Playing away, but the referee's whistle had clearly sounded. It's John Fitzgibbon there against Paul Delaney. And the heat will all be taken out of it very shortly because we've just got a minute to go. A major disappointment for Tipperary, watching their championship aspirations effectively dissolve at Páirc against a mightily determined Cork side. Well organised, well drilled. Aidan Ryan feeling that there's still a bit of life left. On to Michael Cleary, it's a goal they require. Stopped by Ger Cunningham, comes out by Sean O'Gorman. Only as far as Aidan Ryan again. And he's put it over the bar, but I think it's a case of too little, too late, with 2 goals still between the teams.
But Ger, one thing you notice about Cork this year, there's been no let up in their determination. Their backs haven't given away any soft scores, and they've tied up the Tipperary full forward line completely. And given the worries we had in Cork all along about the full back line, Dennis Mulcahy has certainly had an outstanding game also, along with Brian Corcoran and Sean O'Gorman. And they'll be especially thrilled about that because they're under a lot of pressure.
Well, Jimmy Barry Murphy will be picking the Telecom Éireann man of the match after this game, and that will be announced, of course, on the Sunday game. Starting at 8 o'clock on Network 2. It's a busy day for sport. Pat Hartnett swinging it across. And without giving the game away, Jimmy, I think it's going to be a tough enough decision. There have been several good performances
Have indeed, Ger, some outstanding displays by Cork players, particularly in defence and midfield, also Teddy McCarthy, but I think it's a tremendous team performance by Cork. It's been all through the game.
Fox playing it inside fast. Batted down. Ger Cunningham, certainly one of the heroes. Rémi Ryan comfortably under it, but lets it run on. Bobby Ryan picking it up against Tomás Mulcahy. Down towards Teddy McCarthy. Disappointed, no doubt, to go out of the championship with the footballers 2 weeks ago, but very much in the hunt for another medal in Munster and perhaps the All-Ireland Series, but that's a long, long way ahead. Conall Bonner lets it behind to George Friend. He certainly did not let the side down. Played very impressively. Likewise Paul Delaney. But those couple of goals that we always thought that Cork might get turn out to be absolutely critical. Declan Ryan tapped inside. If they could get one, perhaps they might get another. That certainly has got to be their rationale. English, on it goes, nicely in for Declan Ryan. They've got one back. A goal in injury time by Declan Ryan, and now there's just one between them. And have we written Tipperary off too soon?
You never know. The referee is looking at his watch, and anything can happen. The Cork have been in such control for so long. It's amazing that they're only a goal ahead. I think it must be very nearly climb up there.
I make it just about 1 minute and 50 seconds of injury time that he's played so far. Pat Buckley for a more dominant Cork team in the second half, no question about that, after Tipperary had the better of the chances in the first half but didn't avail of them. Rémi Ryan feeling that there's still time. One more attack and it's all over, and the champions are gone. Tipperary beaten, and Cork have won this Munster Championship semi-final. They advance to the final in 4 weeks' time, thanks in the main to two splendid second half goals. The first of them by John Fitzgibbon after just about 5 minutes. The second 20 minutes later by Tomás Mulcahy. A terrific performance by the back line as Sean O'Gorman and Nicky English, colleagues in the Fitzgibbon Cup team at UCC in the past, had a great old battle this afternoon. Kevin Hennessy with a smile on his face. That's John Fitzgibbon, the first of the goal scorers there. But overall a good, solid team performance by Cork, who win very impressively. Full-time score, Cork 2 goals and 12 points, Tipperary 1 goal and 12.
Yes, well, dramatic stuff as ever. It was a team, but Eamon Cregan was the